up on Newsteam Boulder, election chaos.
We're gonna win Pennsylvania.
November 3rd came and went, but we still don't know who will be our next president. We'll get a look at all of the data. COVID surge. As the nation eclipses 100,000 cases, Boulder County adds more restrictions. And are you ready for some football? The Buffs are finally back on the field this weekend. How will the game look different this season? All that and more coming up on Newsteam Boulder.
From the Roser Atlas Center and the College of Media, Communication, and Information, this is Newsteam Boulder.
Hello and welcome to another jam-packed episode of Newsteam Boulder. I'm Christina Robin. Election day was Tuesday, and most states around the country are still counting their ballots. In Maricopa County, Arizona, a huge swing county in the election, chaos erupted late last night. Trump supporters crowded outside the election office, many bringing guns, tactical vests, and chanting, "Count those votes." Ironically, those protests forced the election office to close early, and they weren't able to finish counting the votes. Meanwhile, the political world's attention turns to Pennsylvania and Georgia. One of those two states could send Joe Biden to the White House. Newsteam's Vinay Simla is back at his big board to explain how.
Thanks, Christina. Yeah, let's take a look at the big board because a lot of results have come in. We're still waiting on some results. The biggest one that the AP has called is Arizona. They've called that one for Joe Biden because they're still waiting on some other election results from Maricopa County. A lot of other organizations haven't called it yet. So let's look at the scores so far. Biden 264, Trump 214. And this is what we're looking at when we go state by state. So Nevada, Biden at 49.4%. He's got a small lead. We're expecting more results for them today. And maybe that's when organizations will be able to call it, but it's too early right now. Arizona, Biden's got a small lead, 50.5%. They're waiting on ballots that have been dropped off that are absentee ballots. So once we get a good number on those, we'll have those results for you. And then in Pennsylvania, Trump has a narrow lead, but Joe Biden is expecting to close in on that lead because they're still waiting on votes from Philadelphia and the areas around there, which are usually reliably Democrat. And then North Carolina, Trump has a lead there. Biden's not expected to take the lead there. It's a little early right now to call that one. And then Georgia, this one could be very close because they're very close right now, 49.2% and then 49.5%. But Biden thinks that he can gain on him because they're still counting the votes in the suburbs of Atlanta. So that one could come down to the wire. We probably won't know this one until all the votes have been tallied. Let's move on to the Senate race right now because the Democrats did not have as good of a day in the Senate as they expected. Susan Collins won in Maine. Remember, she was down in the polls. She keeps her seat. Tom Tillis right now is leading for his seat. He's the incumbent from North Carolina. And then the football coach, Tommy Tuberville, won the Senate seat for Alabama over Doug Jones, who's the Democrat. And on the Democratic side, they were able to take the Colorado Senate seat from Cory Gardner. And then Mark Kelly got the seat from Martha McSally over in Arizona. The issue right now for the Senate right now, because we don't know who has it, is Georgia. Right now, Perdue is holding on to his seat. He's got a lead of about 2 points. And if he drops below 50%, this goes to an automatic runoff election that'll happen in January. And then Kelly Loeffler right now is trying to hold on to her seat. This was a special election. This one will also go to a runoff. So if the Democrats take both of these seats, then they have the Senate. If the Republicans take both of these seats, they have the Senate. The Senate could come down to these runoff elections, if they happen in January, which could be a big mess for us when we're trying to figure out the Senate.
The Trump campaign announced yesterday they will be filing lawsuits over vote counts in Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. The president's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, says the campaign's poll watcher couldn't properly see the votes being counted.
The observers can be 20 or 30 feet away, never able to see the ballot itself.
A judge in Pennsylvania ruled this morning that the Trump campaign poll watchers can observe from 6 feet away as long as they follow all of the COVID-19 protocols. More locally, important questions were on the ballot for Coloradans. The propositions that passed: Proposition EE, which would increase taxes on nicotine products, including a 30% tax on vaping products. Proposition 113, which would let the Colorado electors vote for the candidate that won the popular vote. Proposition 116, which would reduce the state income tax, and Proposition 118, which would establish a paid family and medical leave program in Colorado. Proposition 115 is the only one so far that's failed. That is the proposition that abortion would be banned past 22 weeks. In Boulder, there were ballot questions about evictions, taxes, and voting on the mayor. Newsteam's Reed Radishonsky has those results for us.
The presidential election is not the only thing on the ballot this election season. Boulder residents had to make many decisions that will impact the county until the next election cycle. Here's a look at some of the issues Boulder residents are voting on this election season. Proposition 2E has passed. This allows Boulder residents to directly elect their mayor. Historically, city council members elected the mayor of Boulder. This passing will allow Boulder residents to elect the mayor directly using the instant runoff method. Callie Renninson has been elected as a new Colorado region. The CU regions have had a conservative majority for many years. Callie Renninson is a Democrat and is looking to make an impact on the university as a whole. Proposition EE did not pass. This was going to raise taxes on tobacco and nicotine products to 62% by 2027. That would make these products much higher tax than alcohol, marijuana, and sugar. The people have spoken, and these are the new changes in Boulder. See you next election cycle.
Continuing a good day for Democrats in Colorado, for the first time in 40 years, the Democrats will have the majority for the CU regions. Democrats Callie Renninson, Alana Spiegel, and Nolbert Chavez all won on Tuesday. Each of the new regents will serve a 6-year term on the 9-member board. The Dems say they plan to make the Board of Regents more transparent so people know what goes into their decisions. The Board of Regents is the highest form of authority here at CU, deciding everything from the university president to the tuition. The election may be over, but COVID clearly is not. Up next, we'll get a look at the COVID numbers in Boulder and how the county is responding.
He seemed fine to me.
I thought he would just sleep it off.
I didn't think he was that bad.
I had no idea he was taking prescription drugs.
He only drank as much as me.
I was fine.
We didn't want to get in trouble.
I thought this kind of thing happened all the time.
I thought someone else was taking care of him. If I would have called.
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 If I would have just called.
I'd still be alive.
Another wave of COVID-19 is crashing down across the nation. There are now over 9 million confirmed cases in the United States. Those numbers will continue to surge as close to 100,000 people test positive every day. The U.S. has more coronavirus cases and deaths than anywhere else in the world. And Boulder County is no exception when considering the rise in coronavirus cases. The county has been in Level 2 of the safer at home restrictions and plans to move to Level 3 tomorrow. Level 1 raises caution for counties with low virus transmission. Level 2 increases concern by encouraging greater social distancing for both indoor and outdoor spaces. And Level 3 is declared for counties at the highest risk. News Team's Chloe Henson explains why the county made that decision.
Thanks, Christina. The Boulder Health Department's Level 3 Safer at Home order goes into effect November 6th. The Boulder Daily Camera reports that this comes after 312 new coronavirus diagnoses over 100,000 Boulder residents in the past 2 weeks. This order will push us into a level orange restriction. The county's 5-day average from last week shows 98 cases per day. If this trend continues past 350 COVID cases per 100,000 residents, we will be forced to move to the more serious stay-at-home order. I talked to a public information officer for the city of Boulder, Chana Gusettis.
And it is these very basic things that we can all do, which are, we have all heard, wear a mask, stay separate from people, don't gather. It's really about staying home as much as you can, not with other people.
This Safer at Home order pushes Boulder businesses to 25% capacity or 50 people, whichever is less. Personal gatherings are limited to 10 people or less from no more than 2 different households. CU will return to remote learning on November 16th. Chloe Henson, Newsteam Boulder.
Back in September, we brought you the story of Creston Mansfeldt, the CU professor who is tracking COVID in the campus's sewage system. Back before Halloween, Mansfeldt tweeted that he would organize a rave in 2021 if the Buffs had a quiet Halloween at home. Well, on November 4th, he sent out that the data isn't looking promising. Maybe a sign that COVID is on the rise here at CU. But the last Thursday of this month can't look anything like 2020's spookiest day of the year. Boulder police issued 22 citations on Halloween for violating public health orders. Officials report breaking up at least 8 parties, and those individuals must appear in municipal court. Punishment can be up to 3 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. There could even be actions against property owners and rental licenses. A University of Colorado student reports that someone recorded them showering in the Stern Z storm early Sunday morning. CUPD tweeted that the student noticed the phone from under the stall and kicked the phone out of the person's hand. The culprit grabbed the phone and fled before being identified. Speaking of showers, are they in the forecast for this weekend? Will the football players be able to stay dry on Saturday? Kylie Westhoff has all the answers up next with the forecast.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Hello, welcome back to News Team. We've got a lot coming up in your forecast today. If you've looked outside, you'll still see lots of sunny weather and blue skies, making for lovely conditions here in Boulder. This should last for our first home game this season, but in the south, we're still seeing lots of violent storms. Last week it was Zeta, now it's Tropical Depression Eta that's pounding parts of Central America. It made landfall as a hurricane, but has since weakened to a tropical depression, which is a less intense storm than a tropical storm. But as you can see, it is still causing severe damage to Honduras and Nicaragua, and it could be headed for Florida. So looking at our national map, you can see that we are expecting some heavy rains and thunderstorms around Florida and up the East Coast. That's Eta, and we could expect to see it re-intensify to a tropical storm as it travels to Florida. We're expecting up to 10 inches of rain, but we will continue to monitor that tonight and into tomorrow morning because that's when we're expected to know if it will intensify. Now, looking out west, we still have a high pressure over Colorado, which is the reason for all of that sunny weather and blue skies, and even the reason why we tied some record highs in the Boulder-Denver area this week. But looking out to the Pacific Northwest, we're seeing lots of mixed precipitation, and this is really good news for the fires, especially in Redding, California. Earlier this week, there were temperatures in the 80s, which is really fueling the fires out there. So hopefully all of this rain will help calm that down and bring temperatures down and keep those fires under control. Now, monitoring this cold front, if we see it, we could see it travel down to Colorado if it covers some major ground, which could bring in some snow and rain here in Colorado. But now let's take a look at what we can expect over the next few days across the state. On Friday, it will still be pretty warm all around. In Denver, we're expecting high temperature of 77 or 75 in Denver, 77 in Pueblo, and 70 up in Fort Collins. Even higher up in the mountains, we're seeing temperatures in the 60s and even close to the 70s. On Saturday, it's going to cool down a little bit. It's still pretty warm all over, but temperatures are coming down just a smidge. In the east, there's still lots of temperatures in the 70s, and at higher elevations, holding steady in the 50s and 60s. On Sunday, temperatures are going to drop a lot everywhere. Chances of rain and snow are going to start to cool things down a little bit. In the southeast, still in the 60s and 70s, but up in the mountains, things are starting to get really cold. We're even getting down into the teens in some places. And finally, on Monday, it's even colder all over the state. Down in the Boulder-Denver area, things are getting down into the 40s in Denver and Boulder and Fort Collins, and staying cool in the mountains. Looking to Boulder today, we're still seeing that sunshine with a high of 71, and it'll stay pretty mild tonight with a low of 43. Tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit more cloudy, and we'll still get up to 70, and drop to 46 at night. And we've got a beautiful forecast coming up for our first football game in Boulder. The temperature at kickoff will be 64, and sunset is right around 5, so the lights will be up at Folsom Field. The surface winds are going to be blowing at 10 miles per hour going in the southern direction. There's a still small chance of rain later in the night, but we don't expect that to impact the game time. So it seems like the perfect conditions to welcome football back to Boulder and for the Buffaloes to bring home a win for their first game. After the game on Saturday, the temperature will drop in Boulder into the 50s, and there is a 30% chance of precipitation going into Sunday, but it looks like it'll still stay mostly sunny in Boulder. At night, it will drop all the way to 29, and on Monday, it will get even more cloudy with still slight chances of rain and snow. We're not expecting much at the moment, but it could change, and it'll drop to 23 at nighttime, so really cooling things down from what we've been seeing. Now, that's all from weather today. I will send you back to Christina at the news desk to tell you what to expect in the rest of the newscast. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.
CU football is just days away from kicking off their season, but we have more to celebrate than pigskin and tackles. That's right, it's National Donut Day. We'll be right back. The Buffs are returning to Folsom Field on Saturday at 5 p.m. Colorado will play UCLA in their first game of the season. Carl Dorrell will make his debut as head coach for CU, where he spent 2 previous stints of his coaching career on Boulder soil. The previous Dolphins assistant head coach will face longtime leader of the Bruins, Chip Kelly. CU went 5-7 during the 2019 season and will be returning several key players like Mustafa Johnson and Nate Landman. And even more exciting news, it's National Donut Day. These not so good for you snacks are oh so good. America eats 10 billion donuts a year. That's about 31 donuts per person. The signature hole in the middle is said to have been created to help donuts cook even more thoroughly. Another fun fact, there are actually 2 National Donut Days. The other one is that first Friday in June, and the day honors the Salvation Army lassies who served the pastries to soldiers during World War I. That's all we have for you today. Don't forget to stop by your local bakery or Krispy Kreme to celebrate with what we here at Newsteam call the greatest holiday 2020 needed after that election. We'll see you next week.